Hello, hello. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Asheville aggregate videos on YouTube here. But wanted to make a quick video here, just thinking about the retirement question in terms of how much should you make, how much do you need, so on and so forth. And I just have my numbers here in terms of this is if no car payment, no house payment, all debts are paid. This is why it's so important in terms of getting rid of all that debt because there's a lot less in terms of drag or a lot less in terms of money coming out of your pocket that you're going to have to put towards any type of bills or anything else like that. Now, I have my monthly bills spreadsheet here, which just goes over like all my expenses, what my income is after tax, and then everything that's taken out of it, so on and so forth. So this is like what I make now, if I made a second job maybe, or if I got a second job, and then yeah, if I got a raise or anything else like that, just like looking at those numbers, because then I could project on how much I would actually put into my 401k, so on and so forth. Now, Kevin Samuels, quite a few other people will always talk about the 1.2 to 1.6 million dollars that you're going to need. I was talking with a brother, I'm Classic, in a group chat, and it was crazy that we were all talking about the diversification, and I was even talking in an email thread. We were talking about diversification in terms of asset allocation, what should you put towards crypto? And this is I was talking about that with Village Arsonist and Black Torch, and also Dollar Will was in in that thread as well, or that email thread. So all this came together, and I was just like, I really need to make a video about this because it's kind of been on my mind to make a video about rural living, and I'll get into that later. But just going over my numbers and looking at it in terms of what I have to pay on a monthly basis. Pretty much my bills just boil down to this here, right? And I pay a little bit more because I pay for the internet at my mom's house, and then her car insurance, which I need to give her money for, and then also her TV service. So now, if I just go to like monthly bills, rural living, right? So I'm living out in the country. I got my house, everything's paid off for. Got my land and everything else like that. Everything's good, right? It's mine. If anything, all I would have to do is pay the taxes. So actually, let's add that in there. So taxes, my taxes currently are 1250 divided by 12, which is 12 months. So we're looking at an extra $100 per month on that. Yes, my taxes are very low. That's another great thing about rural living. When we're spending all this money, or all of our money goes towards, big city living, now you're paying for opportunities, you're paying for amenities, you're paying for some of the things that you may never use. Say you're an elderly couple and you don't go out to the clubs anymore, or you're never going to the baseball games or anything else like that, but you're still paying for those things. You're still paying for the road work, or the work that goes into upkeeping some of these cities and their sewage systems and all types of other things. In terms of even your water bill, your electricity, that whole power grid, everybody has to share in that expense. Now, when you're in a rural place with a low population, um, there's a lot of things that you don't pay for, but things that you're going to have to deal with yourself. So instead of like the sewage system, you're going to have septic tanks, and maybe you'll have like city water, or you don't, and you just have well water. So it's like, okay, in my area, even with the house I live in, I do have to be on city water. And actually, I don't have to be on city water, but I'm on city water, and they provide it. So at minimum, I have to pay an X amount of dollars or something like that. I forgot how that worked out to be, but I'm okay with being on city water because they filter the water to a certain extent, and then I filter it even further. So that water bill is probably like $20 a month. It's like 19 something, and it gets debited from my account. Even electricity, well, it's a little bit higher now because of coming out of winter here, and it still gets cold a couple days, but really not that bad. Now it's like really good. It's okay as you're getting into spring and all that. Car insurance. So this is car insurance for my vehicle and my mother's vehicle put together, right? So car insurance for me is $83 a month. For my mom, it'll be like 454 divided by six. So $75.67. And that's because she lives in Florida. Like, I mean, and then she has an older vehicle as well. Actually, I might have to take that off because I think she's still getting some stuff done on that car. So we'll see about that. But I mean, these are the bills, these are the expenses that I have. I mean, if I look at, internet, the alarm system, T-Mobile, email, because I have an email service for my business, VPS hosting or virtual private server hosting, some documentation site that I use, G Drive, YouTube Red. Yes, I pay for YouTube Red. I'm not with the ads. Patreon. I do give $5 a month to support people like Dollar Will. So even with all of that, and I'm looking at all these expenses, you're still looking at 1417 a month. Now, again, let's if we take out the income here, we don't have to have that time to save. If I wanted 3 months of expenses, this is how much it would be. So actually, let's do this. All right, make that number correct. All right, so 3 months of expenses, it'll look about 42.52. So with that in mind, I mean, it wouldn't take me long to actually save up that much money. Now, this is why it's so important. This is why I'm doing the YOLO crypto move. I treat it as a lotto ticket. I treat it as a gamble. Dick in the dirt, fuck the world. Let's do it, see what happens with it. Because if it actually does pay off for me and it does do well, then that's a small amount to put in terms of that, with the bet that I put in on that in terms of crypto. It's a small amount compared to what it's going to do for me in the long run. Pay off vehicles or pay off vehicle completely and then pay off most of the home. So it's like when you look at this and you look at other things like, okay, you don't see too much in terms of fuel expenses. I mean, maybe I pay maybe 50. I mean, literally, there was one point, I was on the same tank of gas for over a month and it only went down a quarter tank because I just don't go anywhere. I mean, there's not much to do, and I'm okay with that. I get to make more content. I get to, as Edward Anderson talks about, time freedom. Having that time freedom is just a beautiful thing. But this is the importance of being able to use your money more towards maybe investments, maybe quality of living, doing other things in your life, so on and so forth. So that's kind of like the beauty of doing all of this. In fact, let me hold on. Let me just turn the volume down on this just to make sure it's not clipping or there's not too much audio there. But so if I look at taxes, food, even if I put in fuel, right? I have to make myself go out once a week just to like drive around and stuff like that. Not to drive around, but to go and get groceries and things like that. My town is nice. It looks beautiful, especially during the springtime now and everything like that. I'll probably put some pictures up of like something I took the other day when I was at the Food Line grocery store, where there's like a train and it was really nice. It looked nice to me. All right, so but if I put down fuel and I say like $50 a month, I used to pay damn near, oh man, 40, probably $300 to $400 a month in fuel when I was running my computer consulting business and working my night job. With my night job, it would take a full tank of gas for round trip to and from work 4 nights a week, right? And then with going around day in day out during the nights and going all over the place, driving to Miami and back, driving to West Palm Beach, so on and so forth. I'm just having a simpler life, if you will. This is kind of the benefits of working from home as well. Like I don't have to go to many places. I just go and get food, and I make myself do that. Like I can always order something like that, maybe from a local service or something like that. But I do want to get out for the little bit and just uh, you know, uh, interact with the area, if you will. But for the most part, living in a rural area, you don't have to spend much money. So I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the $1,400, 1467. So now let's go ahead and insert a column to the right. Right. All right. So let's multiply that by 12 months, right? So we'll take this and multiply that by 12. I mean, for the year you're looking at 17 grand. I mean, if your investments are um, paying you back probably like 20 grand, 30 grand a year, you can see how rural living is way cheaper than going back to a city. And we'll get into, the cost of living between different towns and everything like that. My current city versus other cities that are out there. So if I do this here, and that's for 12 months, and we'll do that for the ages 65. And again, this is why I can do these numbers because you'll see that it's just saying one person, no kids. Even if I upped it to two, there'll be somewhat of a difference, but I don't think it'll be crazy. Well, we'll see. So if I multiply that and I say this is from the age of 65 to 85 in terms of your retirement, and this is where you need that $1.2 million dollars. This is why rural living is going to be far superior, depending on the lifestyle that you actually want to live. So this is good for me. So let's put in the 20. 352 grand. So if I had 1.2 million, 1.6 million, as Kevin Samuels would say, then it, I mean, I'm not factoring in medical costs or anything like that, so I do have to admit that or admit that there. But I mean, if we're looking at it, even if I factor in medical costs and say it's going to be like 500 grand, there's far less money that you're going to have to save up. Now, again, granted, there's going to be less opportunities in a rural area. The median income is going to be far less. I make double what the median income is here, so therefore I can save a little bit more. I'll save even more once my mom will move in with me here. And actually, it'll be to the point where maybe she can get a prefab home and she'll put it towards the back of the property, or the middle of the property. And literally, I can give her a whole acre to herself and won't even miss it. Like the area that I have picked out for her was where the barn was, and it literally has a backyard or a backyard section that was probably equivalent to her current backyard front yard right now. Yeah, if you put it all together in terms of just, you have the home and all the space that's left over, um, it's equivalent to her yeah, it's equivalent to her backyard. Or sorry, it's equivalent to all her yard space, the little backyard section that she would have, and even the area around. Because if you get a prefab home, that's probably going to be about 1,200 square feet or so, and that'll be comfortable for one person. So literally, put all the plumbing and everything else like that. She drops that sucker on a slab. She's good to go. She doesn't have to even live in the same house. At least she'll live on the property, and with her living on the property, essentially me paying the mortgage will also be paying her rent in a sense, and then she could, garden and all this other stuff. So when you're looking at things like that, that'll cut off a couple dollars for me in terms of the monthly expenses. But I can make sure she's okay, and then I can provide living area for both of us. So that's a beautiful thing. So when I look at all this, it just makes more sense to live in a rural area, and we can go even further into it. But I talk a lot, so let's go over to the numbers. I used to live in Plantation, Florida, and I was making the same $75,000 a year. Now, what's kind of crazy about this is, I mean, if I flip it, it would say it's crazy. I was living off the $75,000 a year, but that was because I was living at Mama's house. Imagine if I lived by myself in an apartment or something like that. Because that's all I could really afford in Florida on 75 grand. I mean, maybe like a condo or something like that, but it's just that's not the living I liked. My mom always said, move mortgage to mortgage, and she meant a house, not a condo or anything else like that. She was never pushing me out of the house too much, although she would annoy me. And you guys have heard the last videos where even I thought my environment was semi-toxic or it was toxic, but at the same time, what she provided was far greater than most people get in terms of um, opportunity and what I was able to do in terms of running my businesses, opening a salon, so on and so forth. So, with that being said, I do have to say, hey, listen, man, my mom did a lot for me, and I don't want it to be something where it's just like I was just bashing my mom. That was just, put in the foundation just to say, hey, listen, man, I'm not working harder for these women, uh, you know, uh, because of some of the things that, we all go through. It's just like I've already had a whole life of working hard, and I'm just not going to do it for people that don't appreciate you and ungratefulness. So I did want to clear that up. It's not like I got too much contention or anything like that in the comment section, but just had to clear that up there. So if I look at, in terms of taxes and everything else like that, in Waycross, Georgia, the tax cost difference, I'm paying higher taxes in Waycross, so by $3,000. But let's look at housing. This is the big one. That same $3,000, if we put it into this, it'll raise Waycross, Georgia, in terms of the difference up to 16 grand, and you're still looking at a 3 grand difference between Waycross and Plantation. And again, I just factored in the increased taxes that I have to pay here in Georgia versus the increased housing that I would have to pay in Plantation, Florida. And Plantation, Florida is a very nice place. It's probably it's a higher end middle class area, very nice home, and everything else like that. Very, very, very nice neighborhood. So many amenities and well connected to airports and roadways and things like that. And you pay for all those things, which is why I mention it. But you're looking at the housing cost difference is 47% higher. That's freaking crazy. So if we look at even food, again, if we go back to the spreadsheet, I actually put a little bit more in terms of food, and I put it at $600. Now, I only have this as one adult in the household, no kids. Now, let's go ahead and raise the yet. I mean, we're still kind of tracking in the same along the same lines. I would still have to be 15% higher. So if I'm having a cost of living where I use 75 grand in Waycross, Georgia, I'd have to make 86 grand or so just to live the same way in Florida. And that actually tracks to be true because if I was to make more money even in Florida, yeah, I could move out and go from there. But you'd be living almost paycheck to paycheck, especially if you don't invest or if you don't save your money, or if you don't have some other type of income that will assist you and allow you to save up and put money away. But if we look at our taxes, yeah, Georgia's still high and everything else like that. But let's just cut that back down to one. MGTOW life. All right. So I mean, even when you're looking at that, it's just I'm looking at these numbers. This is on smartasset.com/mortgage /cost of living calculator. And I'll actually put the link in the description. So just for those that wanted to hear my beautiful voice as I read that URL, you're welcome. Um, but yeah, based on a $200,000 mortgage, that's crazy. And it's probably going to be even less because it's probably going to be even less than that because if you pay off your home, then you don't have that living expense. So you can even take a lot of that stuff out. So let's go back over to our spreadsheet. With that being said, I mean, this is a little bit anecdotal. This is my life. This is what I have to deal with in terms of like, where I'm coming from, where I am living now, and the lifestyle that I am actually currently living. Um, I can do it a lot cheaper. Now, you add kids, you add a wife or anything else like that, it gets a little bit more expensive. But I would tell anybody if you're okay with losing those amenities, losing that quote unquote easy city life or what have you, or that hustle and bustle, if you're okay with that, then move to a rural area. If you can keep your same income, that would be great. But do understand that if you lose that income while you're away, then you will have a serious issue because the in terms of the median income and getting paid the same amount, you will not get that same amount out here in the sticks of Georgia or even in places like Kentucky, Tennessee, or even like North Carolina, South Carolina, things like that. And that's mainly because those areas don't have the same level of opportunity. They also don't have the same cost of living. I'm pretty much getting paid off of the cost of living or getting paid based on the cost of living for the area that I used to live in, whereas now they haven't adjusted it. And, they they shouldn't adjust it. Like, I mean, I'm getting paid what I'm quote unquote worth in a sense, or less than I'm worth, I believe. But it's what you accept, not what you want. So even with that, if you look at these numbers, you can see how rural living can actually help you in terms of funding funding your retirement even faster, and also allowing you to sustain a decent standard of living, or a decent living experience, I should say, with less money. So think about that. It probably would behoove a lot of you guys to move if you can work remotely, or if you're trucking or anything else like that. You can live in a place where you can easily I can easily get to Jacksonville in an hour and a half. I can get to Valdosta in an hour. I can get to Savannah in an hour. I can get to Brunswick. I don't know where that is, but I can get to Brunswick pretty quick from what I've been told. So it's not that far from anything. And if I wanted to get to a major airport, I can go to Jax. So I could fly out of there, and they have an international airport, or I can get a flight down to Fort Lauderdale or even Miami, and then go from there and hop around, or even go to like ATL or something like that if I wanted to drive the 3.5 hours north. So it's like all these things are still available to me in terms of like getting around, but I don't really go anywhere, and my cost of living is a lot less, and I can do more with it. You guys have seen the numbers on some of the other spreadsheets, or on some of the other sheets on this spreadsheet here, but you can see where I invest on average about $873 on average right now. I'm gonna have to cut that back because there's just some things I just need to pay and kind of get off, in terms of getting off the books here, and making sure that I have a little bit more cushion and things like that. I'm really thinking about just paying off my truck with the cryptocurrency assets that I already have in place, because I mean, look at that, 481 a month. I can take that 481 a month, couple that with um, what I'm investing now, and I can invest even more. It's a hard one, but at the same time, the YOLO move is working very well, and it's doing very well in terms of ROI. Uh, Excuse me. No, okay. Didn't sneeze. But in terms of ROI, since January 17th, I mean, we're looking at 105% ROI. I've consolidated my ADA, or Cardano, into one, and I even found some old coins. Took a little bit off the top there, so I found some old coins in a wallet, I should say, and took a little bit off the top there, and we're gonna get the pump house at my house here finished, and move some stuff into it and get it out of my sunroom, because I'm just getting kind of tired of looking at it. And I want to kind of like make that spot a little bit nicer. But again, this is all about the MGTOW retirement. This is all about making a space where it's peaceful, but it's not only peaceful, but you can be productive, and you can be relaxed, and you can move in a sense how you want to, without bringing unwanted chaos to your door. I will be making a video about that, and talking a little bit more about that. I also will be doing better in terms of, I feel like I've been lazy recently, but I also will be doing more numbers based videos, and coming with some more articles, maybe subscribing to some retirement blogs, so I can get better information out there to you guys, again with my perspective, and then show you how that changes my plans, or it doesn't change my plans, and even affirms some of the things that I've been saying. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I appreciate the new subscribers. I really do, and I wish you all the best. And as always, if you're not taking what I say with a grain of salt, then you're low in sodium. Do your research, check things out, start running the numbers, start looking in different areas at different homes and everything else like that, and see how you can actually um, do a little bit better in a new environment. Change your environment. It can most definitely change your life. As always, thank you. Peace.